Sorry about that. My internet did its bullshit thing again. So I will wait for a minute for people to come back. I was in the middle of a gold question, and let me answer that. How will people react when gold hits 5,000 and silver goes over 100? Well, as I showed you in my stupid videos, the idiot videos, which I'll play one, people really don't know what's going on, and they just want to get along, and they want to put things on there that allow them to be like, oh, how can I get liked? I'll say the sky is blue when the real sky is green, let's say, or the grass is blue, but the grass is green. And so people don't know how to think anymore. They just want to go along. Like, I think that's what's hurting me getting a new job. I'm a critical thinker. They don't want anything to do with me because I'm a critical thinker. They don't want, the boss is scared of losing his job. I'm too smart for the bosses. They just want a yes man who gets the job done without thinking. Because they're incompetent, they're afraid I'm going to say, hey, I don't know what this guy's doing. I did that at Tenneco, my last job. They had this software called OneStream, which is really stupid. It was sort of supposed to be like Hyperion S-Base, but it was much dumber. And I was pretty public about it, going, this is the stupidest system I've ever seen. It makes no sense. Instead of calling it USD or, pick a currency, instead of calling it currency, you need to pick USD. It just said, this is AB1. Well, what's AB1? Oh, it's currency. Then why wouldn't they call it currency? It was the stupidest system I've ever seen. So from that standpoint, they didn't like that I was smarter than them or that I made comments like that. My boss wanted me to do the budget. I had been there 3 weeks. Oh, sure. I know your company. I can budget it. He gave me a budget. Now, either he wanted me to do a new budget, but I was under the impression to use the budget he gave me, and I had to break it up into 5 groups. So I was looking at manpower going, well, if we can only spend 20 million on salaries and you got 3 people, divide it out, this is how much you get for the salary. But he couldn't communicate well. He was Brazilian. He could barely pronounce my name. Why he was the manager, I have no idea. He was totally unqualified to manage. So anyway, I'm just kind of waiting for my people to come back. So because people are yes people, how will they react to $5,000 gold and $100 silver? If they haven't reacted yet, gold never broke 2,000. And now gold's at 4,700 roughly. Well, let's get the exact figure right now. Silver's 94.14, gold's 47.52, and this is 12.20. So this is right, 47.50. If they haven't reacted to this yet, I don't know what's going to happen at 5,000. Silver back to 94.32. It was 95. I don't know what's holding it, because if they do the short, they're going to have to come up with the physical, which they don't have. These so as far as copper, I don't know. I'd have to look into why would I buy copper. Gold and silver are money. I'm not sure copper is. Might be because of the penny. There's one metal that I would recommend, but I don't like it in a stock. I think it's lithium or raytheon or something. It's what they need to make nuclear power plants. There's a metal, there's a material they need, one of these minerals that's very limited and not out. So I don't know how you buy that. I hate stocks because they're going to crash, but that's the next thing is China especially, and I think Russia are coming out with a lot of nuclear power plants. So that means they need this mineral to make it, and it's very limited. So that would be a thing. I don't know copper. I think it is kind of limited, but I'm not sure. So not sure what to tell you on copper. We know silver and gold are very limited and very highly in demand. You want to get rich. That's the formula. Something very highly in demand that's very, very limited. That will always give you a high value. That's the best thing. That's the best way to measure what I should invest in. Oh, buy Apple, buy Amazon, buy this, buy that. Is it limited again? Yeah, Ranger. Sorry about that. Why don't you put your questions back up? I think I answered the 5,000 and the $100 one, but sometimes my internet goes. Even though it was on, something goes on with YouTube specifically that causes it to like blank out, even though I still had internet on other channels. So anyway, sometimes that happens. But anyway, feel free to continue. But we can talk gold now. We can talk. Mine's very open. If you want to talk football, we talk it. I start out with the lines, but now that we only got 2 games left, it's not as long to go through as it would be the full 16-team pro or the 60-team college. Tisha, what do you think the psychology effect will be on the population when when silver hits $100 an ounce and 5,000 for spot? So the psychology should already be out there. What's the difference between $4,700 gold and $5,000 gold? Now it's a round number, but theoretically, when it went over 2,000, the psychology should have been there. Ask yourself why. So I think certain people will react to it and run and buy it. I've had a lot of people come into class and where do I buy mine at? And they're buying it as they're learning, as I'm teaching them, they're going, oh, that's a good idea. And they're buying it. People, when I'm at my health club and I talk to people about it, they don't want to hear it. They're in the stock market. Well, I got 500 grand in my 401k in stocks, so I'm not going to sell it and I have to pay tax on it and that. You realize gold, you don't have to pay tax on it as it's going up. So my silver ounce I got here for this was $30 an ounce. It's now 60, is now 95, is now 190. I don't pay any tax on it. Is it income? I don't know what you'd call it. It's really not income. It's just an asset going up. It's cash. It's not an investment. It's not a collectible. They can all fuck off thinking it's a collectible. This is just buying gold and buying silver as I would buy a Picasso or a Rolex. If the values go up, or I have a Montana rookie card, I got to get it graded. But if it's a 10, I bought it for 100, it's worth 110,000. Do I got to pay tax? No. See, so on this stuff, you don't pay tax on it. It's not income where you owe tax, which makes it 10 times better. So it's going up in value. There's no tax to pay. So that's the beauty of it. There's no interest income because it went up, because it's not interest. There's really no shipping and storage costs. I go to my guy's store. There's really no shipping. There's really no holding cost or insurance. I don't pay. I got my safe. So it's in my safe. Insurance, I don't insure this. Um, you know, would they even pay it off? And what I'm going to have to keep changing prices, and will I even collect? And I'd collect in dollars, so I don't insure it. So there's really no cost. This is their. Well, it just sits there. I love Warren Buffett. It just sits there. What is your? I'm sorry. What does your Rolex do? What does your Picasso do? What does your Montana rookie card do? Or your Mickey Mantle card? What are they? They just sit there. That's the stupidest comment. Well, I like to get my money working. Oh, so go buy stock. Well, fine. And when the stock market crashes, you're going to lose your ass. So psychology, I don't think there will be much, because I think people are so programmed into financial planners telling them to be in the stock market, 60-40 stock and bonds, and now it's 60-20 stock, bonds, and gold. My portfolio, 100% gold and silver, with my Mantle card and my Brady cards kind of not really in the portfolio, right? No stocks, never a bond, because it'll never pay you back. That's a stupid investment. They'll tell you it's risk-free, but it's not. Because when the dollar crashes, good luck getting your bonds. The U.S. owes $39 trillion its bond purchases to Russia and China and different countries, Japan, Germany, and that. You got to wait in line to get paid for yours. So I don't see that as. I think that's extremely high risk, and I'd rather just hold it in gold and silver than hold it in bonds. So people will listen to their financial planner, and if the financial planner says, hey, just stay in stocks, that's what they're going to do, because they don't really know. So I don't know the psychology, if they're even paying attention. It's not on the news. So, okay, so silver's at 95 right now. It's going to go to 100. Are they reacting to the 95? At my guy's store, so I go to my coin store, and when I go there, people are selling. We're selling silver at like 2,500, because or at the silver at like $50, because it was the all-time high, or selling gold at 2,500 because it was the all-time high. And I tell you, don't look at it like that. That's paper. That's controlled, compressed. JP Morgan, COMEX. That's not the physical price. Physical price is much, much higher, because it's much more limited. So I tell you, don't pay attention to that. It's not, we're looking for the all-time high physical, which somebody asked me that, and I told them, we don't know. There's never been a physical price. There is not a physical price right now. The silver at 95 is a paper price. It is not a physical. And it's made up of 100 times. So 1 ounce of silver into a contract is like 100 ounces of silver they're controlling in the paper market. So I have no idea what the physical price is. There's never been one, which is scary enough that there's never been a physical price of silver. That's just crazy. How have you not done that? But they like the dollars, because they can print, and they're worthless, but you don't know it. So walk into Kroger's and it's $5 for a can of tuna. You think they raised the price on tuna and Coke and Oreos and Pop-Tarts and chicken and meat. Now, every item in the grocery store, the prices have gone up, but it's because the dollar's worthless, not because everybody and every company raised prices. Even my cauliflower and my lettuce and all my veggies are more. Yellow peppers, $1.65. I bet you if you watch one of these 1990 TV shows, like a Seinfeld, when they go to the grocery store, it's probably 65 cents or something. All right, Ranger, 5K an ounce, not AG. What similarities and differences between the fall of the Weimar Republic and the situation do you see now? Well, the Weimar Republic had to pay for World War I. They fucked them. Even though there was no winner in World War I, They made Germany pay. And so Germany printed a bunch of money to pay for the war. They had to pay there wasn't a winner, but they had to pay the other country, France and England and whatever. That's why they had to print more. And then, as you can see, the more you print, the less it's worth. And then their dollar hyperinflated, which means that hyperinflation, real Austrian economics definition is the money gets printed and the public panic and goes hyper and has to go, and they go buy the milk and the bread before it goes up in price. And so they keep running to buy goods before the price goes up because of the inflation, because of the money printing, which leads them to getting money. They were getting paid for, like, at lunchtime, they'd get paid. At the end of the day, they'd get paid, and they run to the grocery store and buy more because they knew the next day the milk went from whatever, 50 cents to 75, but then by dinner time, it was $1, and then it went to 2 and 5. And so you had the hyperinflation, which we have. We have the same situation. You would have been fine in Germany had you had US dollars or British pounds or gold or silver. Only in the German Reichsmark were you in trouble. So only in this are you going to be in trouble. Although this isn't any better, the euro is no better anyway. So this is not better. If you hold your money in this, you'll be broke. Hence why we buy this, because we're not going to be broke because we'll be in this, which is going and keeps holding its value. So as the food gets more expensive, so does the gold and the silver. And so we're actually able to keep up with the food prices going up in gold and silver. So the Weimar Republic was basically, they got caught with high expenses, printed and killed themselves, much like the Romans. The Romans took their gold and silver, which is the real definition of debasement. You cannot debate that because there's no gold and silver in the dollar. This is just inflated. This is inflation, printing too much dollars. The debasement was, if I had this in Rome and they took all the silver out, so now it's a 2-ounce nickel coin, it had no value. That's how the Romans went under. But it's always the money printing. It's always thinking they can print as much as they want, and they can't. That's why gold and silver, A, it's limited. B, you can't print it and you can't inflate it. So I know there's only so much gold and you can't come up with more. Yeah, you can dig a little out of the ground, but it's already, there's too many people wanting it. So what you have is most of Europe probably already buying gold. It's just going to be too much demand for it, and there's no supply, and people will need it because they'll need to get out of dollars. Now, I tell people who come here, I can't afford it. I says, well, then buy a ½ ounce of silver. It's like $40. And if you don't have that, I don't know what to tell you. But that's the point. Get as much as you can, even if you're buying ½ ounces of silver, a tenth of an ounce. There's I seen a 120 or 125th ounce of gold for like $100 or $150. Just buy it because you can't stay in the dollar. It'll just make it. So the Weimar Republic, they printed it to pay off the World War I debt. They kept printing to get out of debt. The more they printed, the less it's worth, and the people got screwed. And that's exactly what's happening here. We're printing. We have $39 trillion debt we have to pay the interest on. We have this huge government. We got to pay all the employees. Where are we getting the money from that? We got to print it. They're trying to sell bonds, but nobody wants our bonds because our money's worthless. There's a lot of keys out there. You just got to understand them. So wait a minute. If China is returning all their bonds for money to buy gold, as is Japan, as is Russia, as is Germany and Italy and every other country, they thought the U.S. dollar was the safe haven, and they're starting to realize it has no value. Putin put it best. He says it's like a Snickers wrapper. It's not worth anything. And so I've known this, as I showed you, 2021, when I started buying it. I knew it back in 1995 when I got my master's. Like I said, that's what the significance of this was. was that was my master's, and to show what I learned, I'd buy gold. So that's really the key to it, right? So you owe, but governments are not businesses. They don't make revenue. They don't earn any revenue. So if the government doesn't earn revenue, how do they pay their bills? Oh, well, we'll just tax people to death. Where'd you get that concept from? I mean, that's pretty bullshit to think I'm gonna go to work and you're gonna tax me to pay your bills. Who does that? What kind of shit is that? Governments need to be businesses where they actually produce revenue so they can pay their expenses. They should be no different than GM and Ford and Apple and Microsoft. They make a product, they make revenue, and they pay their employees. If the government wants to have all these employees without revenue, where are they going to get the money from? Well, we'll print it. We'll sell treasuries. What happens when nobody wants them? You're fucked. So how do you keep your employees on when you can't pay them? We'll just print the money. So what does that do? The money makes it worthless. Then you've got the defense contractors, you're paying them. And you've got Social Security and Medicare, you're paying them with all money coming out of thin air. Now, it works as long as you think the money has value. We know it doesn't. So everything ends with trust. Again, if your friend calls you up to get a ride and you go give him a ride, they trust you. Oh, I called him for a ride. He said he would, and he's doing it. But the problem with the dollar, wait a minute. See, people don't know what trust is in the dollar. The dollar, it still says 100 on it, but it doesn't buy what $100 used to buy. That's the problem. You go to the grocery store, you fill the bottom of your cart, it's $200. I saw a lady with her whole cart was full, and I says, that's going to cost you $1,000. But people can't put two and two together. That's because the dollar's worthless, not because all the goods at the grocery store are higher. That's not the inflation. Oh, the inflation's fine. It's 2%. Bullshit. Inflation is not measured by prices. It's really not measured at all. It's how much dollars are there out there and money printing, and you're inflating the supply. And that's what the inflation is. That's the problem, right? And people need to understand that, which they don't. So they still trust the dollar because it still says 100 on it or 50. Only problem is that's not worth anything. Do you think the world will be focused on 1 ounce, regardless of AU or AG, or go back to standardized 110 ounce like the Roman, Demiris, or Greek? Well, I think it's what they can afford. Like I said, if you have, before with 10,000, I bought 5 ounces. Now I could only get 2. So I got to get rid of my 10,000 because it's in monopoly money, and I got to get rid of this. So I'm going to go and turn it into gold and silver. And therefore, it's what I can afford. Everything always comes down to the market, what they can afford. What I can afford is what I'm going to pay. I'm not going to pay for $20 steaks. I can't afford it, or I don't want to. It's too high. And that's the whole point. So that's kind of what you're looking at with the market. So if I'm in Germany and I can afford 1 ounce of gold and 10 ounces of silver, that's what I'm buying. That's why silver's going up. The demand for silver is huge because they can't afford gold. How many people have, $5,000 for 1 ounce of gold? How many people have $20,000, $30,000 sitting there? Now, you do in your 401k, but wait till the stock market crashes. Then it's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, the stock market's bullshit. It's propped up. There's only, 5 or 6 stocks that are actually making money. The rest are getting blown away. I'll tell you about being psychic. A couple of years ago, I was in Newmont Mining, day trading it, right? Just watching the gold at 10 o'clock drop and buying it at 10:30 and watching it go up 60, 70 cents and have 1,000 shares. And I had a premonition that it was going to be $150 for a share of Newmont Mining. And it went from 60 to 40 and da. I looked yesterday out of curiosity. It was $120 a share for Newmont Mining. And it blew my mind because it's exactly what I saw. I didn't predict it. I saw it. But I'm making a lot more money by dumping the money and buying gold and silver. But I did see that. So I do that. It helps me in football. When I see the score, it does, before the game, it does help me. Anyway, so that's the market's about to crash. The housing market's crashing. Anything priced in dollars will crash because right now a house for $500,000 and the dollar goes to zero, your house goes to zero. Now we need new currency, and that's where gold and silver come up, and it'll get priced in gold or silver. The banks are probably, most of them, are go out because they've had these bad loans that between the mortgages, the car payments, the car loans, and the commercial real estate, all the loans that the bank sent out, and people aren't going to be able to pay them back. Well, that's the bank's revenue, is the payment. And if you can't pay it, the banks will go out, and the bullion banks are going to get crushed because they have all these options of shorting the gold and silver for some stupid reason, and it's going up. So they can't get out of their short. Well, they're going to go bankrupt because you got to pay it. And that's what these margin calls are. They're saying, hey, you got to get out of it. So that's why you saw the gold and silver drop a little bit, was the margin calls. All these people that had shorted they lost their option and they had to pay. So that was that. What is the likelihood of a currency revaluation back to metal, and how do you think they'll do it? Well, it's already there. So it's 100% likely. It's in BRICS right now. They just came out with a gold-backed currency. Russia's doing it next month. We either do it or we're broke. Our dollar's worthless. So the only thing that we can trust is not Bitcoin or stablecoin. It's not digital. Digital is fake. It's not real, right? I need this. I need to be able to see what it is and hold it, right? Yep. This is a €5. Okay, that's what I got. Because, most of the world doesn't have like credit cards and debit cards like America does. When I meet my friends in Europe, when I would meet Jenna and we'd meet in Spain or something, she didn't even understand what a credit card is. Like, she'd want cash. And I'd say, well, I use my credit card for everything. I don't really use cash. Especially now, I want to use my credit card more because A, I'm paying back in inflated dollars. B, I'm trying to keep my dollars to pay off my expenses because I don't want to sell my gold and silver. So my last recourse will be then to start selling gold and silver once the dollar's gone, and just to pay my credit cards. But right now I use the credit cards and I pay a little bit of cash for the credit cards. All I pay. I don't worry about paying it off because I know the banks will be gone soon. The dollar will be gone. So they have to go with gold. It's got to be something we trust. If they come out with US #2, and it's not backed by anything, it's not worth anything. If they go to stablecoin, it's not backed by anything. It's backed by the dollar. Well, why don't you just have dollars? So I saw something. Oh, the U.S. is not going to pay their $38 trillion debt. They'll just move it into stablecoin. No, they won't, because nobody's going to accept it. China's not going to accept stablecoin, or Russia. No, you owe us. They'll just say you owe us gold or whatever. The U.S. is run by idiots. They don't have gold. There is no gold in Fort Knox, and that's not a conspiracy theory. I heard that once. I almost fell down. How is that a conspiracy theory? What is a conspiracy theory? Listening to the bullshit the government points out and disagreeing with it is a conspiracy? If you told me the sky was red and I said it's blue, is that a conspiracy also? Fucking idiots. So I'm not buying that crap. Let's see. So the currency revaluation has to happen. It has to go to metal. How will they do it? They'll just announce a new currency. They'll just say, "Oh, well, we've come out with a new. The Russians are stealing our dollars and our plates, so we've come out with a new currency." They'll never admit they fucked up and they printed too much and it's worthless. They'll blame the Russians or the war in Ukraine or something, or the war in Israel, whatever. Do you know how Israel got so rich and controls the U.S. government? Because 9/11 was a gold robbery, and the people that did it were Israelis. Israel's responsible or counter with the U.S. to do 9/11. They stole $1 billion or so dollars worth of gold, and that's what they used to control us, is all these payoffs. But it was the Israelis who did it, and you can see it was a demolition because it goes puff, 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 puff. There are steel beams in there because it was such a high building. It could not happen like that. They would have went down one floor, and there was a big shitload of cement and concrete that would never, A, it wouldn't have burned, and B, it wouldn't have collapsed like that. That was a demolition like the Stardust. And the Israelis were behind it, and that's why the Israelis now own the U.S. government, because these idiots just take the bribes. Rangers. It's not just the dollar, but the yen, euro, etc. The dollar is just prettiest pig in the barn. Well, the BRICS countries are already on gold-backed currency, right? All the currencies in the world that are not backed by the dollar are worthless. So the euro is worthless. So is this. So is the Swiss franc. So is the British pound, the Canadian, Spain, Japan, China, Russia, African countries. They're all worthless. If they're not backed by gold, gold's what gives them the value. Having a $100 bill and knowing I can go to the bank and get $100 worth of gold is what backs the money. Otherwise, the money is just pure bullshit. It's the medium of exchange. It's the perfect system, provided you don't print the shit out of it. That's why gold's perfect, because it keeps it limited. I have $1 million worth of gold. I can only print $1 million. And if everybody went to get the $1 million to the bank to get the gold, that would be $1 million worth of gold they have. So that's the whole point of it. It's not every currency's gone, which is why gold and silver are going to the moon, because everybody needs gold and silver, because it's the only lifeboat. It's the only thing that can control this. And you can't print it or inflate it or counterfeit. You can't put nickel in it. I mean, you can put some, but as long as it's 1 ounce of gold with 1 ounce of nickel, you can do that and just count it as 1 ounce of gold. But that's the thing. It's like this. This is 18 karat, which means it's 1 ounce. This is 1 ounce, but 75% of it is gold. So 1 ounce of gold in here, and the other 25% is copper, nickel, zinc, whatever else, the other materials. And so vice versa, when I'm pricing it, it's 4,700 times 0.75 is what this is worth. And it just keeps going up. So that's the thing. And that's why, but I prefer coins over jewelry, because jewelry costs more. I can buy the coin for like 4,900. I can't get the 1 ounce gold necklace for 4,900. Probably be 6,000-7,000 if they can even sell it, because who has that kind of money to buy jewelry now? So that business is going to get hurt. So yeah, the whole world's problem, and the only out is the gold, because you can't print it, and there's trust in gold. There's not trust in the dollar. But be very careful buying it, that it's real. Put a magnet up to it. If the magnet holds, it's fake. The magnet will not hold the gold or silver. And then there's that machine that the guys have at the store where you can put it on and it'll measure it is ounce. Because, I guess occasionally you can put the magnet, it won't stick, but it's still counterfeit. They're aware of that. But, know who you're buying it from and you'll be fine. Have them tested at the store. All that. How are you today? I know miracles happen. They always say never. That's only in a James Bond movie. Is there any chance the U.S. ever pull their head out of their ass? No. The one chance, the only, if I was in charge, you need gold. Gold is the only out for the U.S. There is no other out. There is no, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And that's why they're going to war with so many countries. They're trying to steal their gold, silver, and oil, and natural gas, and their minerals. That's why we're in Venezuela. That's why we're in Iran. That's why we're in the Ukraine. But you're ruffling the Russians' feathers, and the Russians don't like that. They're going to protect their own. They already have the gold and the silver. In Venezuela, oh, wait, let us get our gold and silver out. So China and Russia flew their gold and silver out so the U.S. can have whatever is left. But that's what Hitler did. Hitler went into Poland and Czechoslovakia, right to the central banks, stole their gold and silver, and drove it back to Berlin. That's exactly what Hitler did, is what we're doing. That's probably what most wars are about. We're going broke. I'm going to take my military and steal from you. So it's like if they came to our house to steal our gold out of our safes, would be the same thing. They're going to steal your money out of the bank because they're going to say, "Yeah, sorry, we need it. National defense, for security, and thank you for your $80,000 that you have in Chase Manhattan. We are now taking it." And that's going to happen. So be very careful about that. Keep your money in a safe place out of the bank. Keep your gold and silver in a safe place out of the bank, not in the safety deposit box. You do not want to be in safety deposit boxes at the bank. I would say like a locker at the airport or a U-Haul, rent a locker, stick it in there, and you got the only key, something like that. I see these self-storage. That'd probably be the best way. But have it in a safe inside when you got the lock, you got the key. But that's what's going to happen. It's just going to be that, but that's the only way. So that's why I say if we actually had gold and silver in Fort Knox, where is it? We don't have it. It's not ours. It might be there. It's China's, but it's not ours. China just probably, they bought a bunch and they probably just left it in Fort Knox going, yeah, it's pretty safe there. We trust you, U.S. Big mistake there. But yeah, I don't want anybody else holding my gold and my silver. No, I'll keep it. Thank you very much. So that's what you got to understand. And these prices are paper prices. They're not as limited as the physical, and the limited, and the physical is at least 10 times more. So when we see 4,700 times 10, you're looking at $47,000 gold, and times 10, you're looking at $900 silver, because they've been suppressing the price with bullshit options. So that price should never have gone down. It should just keep going up. That's why when I see it today going down a little bit, I'm like, what the fuck? How you gotta, China's going to ask to cover it with physical, and you don't have the physical to cover it. So no, the only out is gold and silver. That's why all your money needs to be gold and silver. So as I was reading, this is what a financial power should be. So if we're running a government, low taxes, free trade is the most important. Rule of law, something that's honest, stable money, gold and silver, and good communications. That's how you run a country if you want to be a good country. We aren't doing any of that, right? How the U.S. got off of gold and silver when the Constitution says it can only be gold and silver, and there can never be a central bank. So how did we end up like this when we have a constitutionally limited republic that we just ignore? Oh, you want me to pay attention to stop signs and speed limits? You don't pay attention to the money. Why should I pay attention to that? So yeah, your only option is gold, nothing else, and silver. I mean, and that's it. And because you can't print it out of the ground, you got to refurbish it, and Switzerland's got to do that. And the tiny little coins and bar like this got refurbished and created from bullshit out of a mine. But that's the only way you can do it. And I'm not worried about this being counterfeit. So we have that. Back to Rangers. What is the validity of India treating AG as money again by using it as collateral for loans? I assume when you say AG, you mean gold, right? So when you ask for validity, is that what they're doing? Is that your question? Yeah, they're in bricks. They're on the gold standard. So yeah, it's very valid. No, you got gold. That's fine. Yeah, I'm sure that's 100% valid. Rangers, I think there's AU in Fort Knox. So is AG silver and AU gold, or I'm a little confused on that. I don't use those symbols. I think there's gold in Fort Knox, if I'm reading this right, but how much? Zero. Zero US gold in Fort Knox. No one knows. Well, it's been rumored that there isn't any, or that they sold it all to China is really what it is. To me, that's not concerning. What's concerning to me is what's allocated versus unallocated. If it's not ours, then we can't use it. It's not. If there is any there, it's China's. I don't think we have any, because if we had any, I think we would have used it by now to help pay off the debt. I mean, you got a $39 trillion debt. And if you have gold, you gotta be kidding. If you have gold, you're not using it? Mm-mm. I don't like when these guys say, well, here's how I'm coming up with the value of gold. There's so many ounces divided by so much dollars in the system. These guys are idiots. That's not how you value anything. The market values everything from $20 steaks to ribs to chicken to tuna to uh, green peppers. That's how you get the value of the market. So there's no gold. There's no U.S. gold in Fort Knox. There could be gold in Fort Knox. It belongs to China. There is no gold in the U.S. Now, how do I know? I don't know. It's an assumption that I'm taking from listening to like Mark McGuire or somebody who they're kind of like saying, no, there isn't any. Partly they don't allow the audit. You guys will ask me, let me see your gold. Let me see your mantle card. And I go, here it is. So why doesn't Fort Knox say, here it is? Obviously they don't have it. So that's the real problem. If you got it, I'm calling your bluff. Show me your pocket aces. And if you can't show them to me, you don't have them. So I'm not really buying that there is. When you don't allow audits, it does lead you to suspicion that it's not there. Like I said, if you had it, you'd show it. So I don't buy that there is. Does it matter? Yes, because that's used. That's used to show that your dollar has value. Because again, the dollar by itself has no value. This is monopoly money. This is paper. This is worthless. It's the faith in the government and or that the gold is backing this gives it value, but it's just paper. And Bitcoin and the digital is worth even less. At least I can see this. My biggest response to somebody with Bitcoin is says, what does it look like? Nobody knows because it's just there. It's just, here it is. And well, it's limited to 21 million because Mr. Fuji said so. Well, 21 million what? Here? I mean, it's not real. So that's why I never get into Bitcoin. I never tell anybody to get in. It's a Ponzi scheme. It only has value. How does air have value? If somebody's stupid enough to buy it, doesn't mean it's, that's it. But I don't buy that. So no, yeah, we're fucked here because we got idiots with buying air, and we've got dollars that are printed to death with no no backing by gold and silver. So unless we're fucked. Hence, we're on the Titanic. It's sinking. We're fucked. What did they do? Get on the lifeboat. Our lifeboat's gold and silver. This is our lifeboat. We're smart enough to get into it in 2021. It's now 2026. So we are in our lifeboat and we're just relaxing and watching the value go up and up and up. And we're going, looks good to me. It still isn't anywhere close to its real value. The frenzy of everybody realizing the boat's sinking, trying to get into lifeboats hasn't happened yet. So once people learn that their dollars, and as you said, this is Pat. Pat comes on, he's from Singapore, and he says that there's 5-6 hour lines in the gold store to buy gold. So China understands it. Probably Japan, I don't know. Russia, I don't know. But I'm sure there are. Europe, Germany, I think people are understanding it. But they understood it because of what happened in the Weimar Republic in the 20s. I'm sure they never forgot that. Just like they didn't forget Hitler, they didn't forget that. So therefore, they're going to they'll be cautious. I know when I was there, I'm having a conversation with a waiter or a cab driver, and they know, yeah, I got gold. Yeah, I know. So really, it's just if you have dollars, they're worthless. So get out of them and buy gold and silver. But as gold goes to 5,000, maybe you can buy an ounce or two if you're a regular guy. If you're real rich and you got $1 million, then I'd just be buying a shitload of gold. They're not going to compensate it. They're going to compensate your stocks, the money in the bank before they go after your gold and silver, which they don't know you have. I use cash for mine. So really, even when I showed you these two deposits, they were cash. Nobody knows I have it. If you sell it, you just, I went through that yesterday, just sell 2 or 3 ounces of gold and that's it. And there's no tax on it. There's no, I mean, it's paying tax like if you went to the casino and hit $5,000 playing poker, you're going to pay tax on it. No. Now, if you're in a tournament like the World Series of Poker, they're going to tax you. And then the government knows you were in the tournament and knows you won and you got to pay the tax. But if you're just there on a Saturday night playing in, at Caesar's, well, I don't think they have a poker room, playing at the Venetian, and you win $2,000, there's no tax on it. Are you supposed to just raise your hand and say, hey, I made this money, I'm going to pay you tax? No, the government has no clue. The government's so misguided, unorganized. If they get the 1099, yeah, then you would have to pay tax. But if it's not 1099, which it won't be, if you just do a few ounces, I think it's 1,000 ounces of silver before you get 1099. Now, will they change the rules because it's worth more? Probably. But at this point, it's not. But who wants to sell it at this point? So no 1099, no tax. And we certainly don't pay tax. When I bought this at 30 and now it's worth 90, 95, 100, 500, I'm not paying tax because the value goes up. No, that's bullshit. So that's where we're at with that. The phrase "show me your papers" and "show me your AU" are often interchanged or interchangeable, but it depends on who's asking. I'm not familiar with that, Rangers. Show me your papers and show me your AU. What is AU? Is that gold? I'm assuming it's gold, but I've not normally talked like that. Well, let me check. AU. AU is AutoZone, Australian Open. Astronomical unit, distance in space. The chemical symbol for gold from Latin aurorium. So you're meaning gold. What's your other one? AG. What does AG mean? Agriculture. The Attorney General. I don't know what AG means. AU, I guess, is gold. All right. Silver 94.86, gold 47.64 on its way up. So I'm not quite sure. So you think there's gold in Fort Knox, but nobody knows. The phrase "shows me your papers" and "show me your gold" are often interchanged or interchangeable, but it depends on who's asking. I've never heard that. What papers are we talking about? Is that, you mean money? Who would ask me for that? But show me your gold, they'd have to know you had gold. So I don't really know about that. I mean, to me, you try to keep it as quiet as possible, that nobody knows you have it except for like your spouse or your kids or something. Most kids don't understand it, and they'll go, "You can't use it at the grocery store," which I hate that comment. I can't spend it at, where do these people come up with this? Well, you can't spend it at the grocery store. My comment is, well, you can't spend this at the grocery store either. There's a lot of them you can't do cash. You can do electric, which is credit cards, but you can't do cash. I don't know why that is. Um, if I'm in business, I'm turning my profits into gold every Friday, because I don't want to be caught in dollars. The stock market is going to crash very, very soon because everything's fake. It's being propped up by the U.S. printing dollars, but of course that's not gonna keep. Um, the dollar's worthless, so they print a bunch and they put it into these 5 or 6 stocks. Those are the only ones going up. They're so overpriced, it's ridiculous. You're supposed to have like a PE ratio of 25, which is price over earnings. And yet on these bigger stocks, they're probably in the hundreds, like a Tesla or Amazon or Apple or one of those. You can't support the values. It's all bullshit. It's the people in them are making a lot of money, and all the senators in Congress are buying them, and then they print the money and they put them in these stocks. So it's a Ponzi scheme. The rest of the market's in trouble, and that's where they're going to get you from. I wanted to show you one thing on stupid people, and I think we have an Egon one here. So it's going to be very, very difficult in a better way. And of course, again, very, very difficult times for the world. I think the East will also suffer, but they will come out of it in a better way. And of course, again, the consequences are falling asset prices, and we will see a gradual shift from paper assets to real assets being obviously
gold, silver, and assets in the ground, base metals, etc. And the world is not prepared for this, so therefore we will have the biggest wealth destruction ever in history. So, consequence is clear. Prepare yourself. This is now going to happen sooner than we think, and therefore think about wealth preservation, think about preserving your wealth in gold and in silver outside the banking system. Because if you don't, and if you stay in the bubble assets, stocks and bonds, you are going to see a massive, massive reduction in your wealth. In our view, gold, for example, and silver, in relation to, let's say, the stock market, the Dow Jones, I think is going to fall by at least 90% versus gold or versus silver. So it's certainly much better investment to be in hard assets than in paper assets. So it's going to be very,
okay, so
very
the key to what he's saying is assets are priced in dollars, right? Your house, your car, the house is worth $500,000. That's how assets are priced. That's how everything's priced. When this goes to zero, all your assets go to zero because this isn't worth anything. So your $500,000 house in dollars, with the dollars worthless, go to zero. Well, wait, I got a house that's 500,000. Yes, it's an asset, and yes, it will be repriced in the new currency and or in gold. That's why I say you're going to take gold. 2 or 3 ounces of gold is going to buy a $500,000 house because the gold value will go up. The house is zero. So the guy gets real money gold, he's going to be singing and dancing, and he'll take it. He can't take $500,000 because the dollar's worthless. So all the assets priced in dollars, machinery and equipment, cars, are all going to be worth zero because the dollar's worth zero. Your stock market will be worth zero because prices stocks are priced in dollars. So then there has to be the transformation into gold and silver dollars. So what should happen is, and this will come out, and instead of this strip, it'll be a gold, it'll be gold, and says, no, this is backed by gold. Go to the bank and get it. Once that happens, then now we revalue everything, and the market will revalue it. And that's what happens. And all these people with a lot of money don't realize they're worthless. The Bill Gates, the Zuckerbergs, they have no idea that they're worth zero because they're not smart enough to understand gold and silver and money and inflation. It's just not their background. They're IT nerds. So basically, they're clueless. And they'll listen to their financial planner. Oh, no, stay in stocks because I get commission. And I don't really give a fuck about you. I only care about the commission. All right. So there's a video I wanted to show. So there's something about Britain that I'm going to show you, but I'm not 100% sure on it, but I'll dig into it.
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work. Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
Hello. The British Empire is panicked. NATO chiefs, British generals, even the head of MI6 coming.
So I don't know who this woman is. It says it's Promethean action. I don't know if this is Austrian, if this is Keynesian. I don't know who the fuck it is. So I'm kind of listening and hearing, but I need to know, yes, we can listen to her, or no, she's full of shit. Just like Mr. Fuji, the AI guy, we figure out no, he's a Keynesian and we can't listen to him. So let's listen.
Out of the shadows, all screaming for escalation with Russia. They want you to look at the missiles. They want you to think that this is about territory or democracy. Well, it's not. They're not afraid of Russia. They're afraid of a PDF file released quietly in Washington last week, which signals the silent assassination of their entire financial model. The weapon that is terrifying London isn't a hypersonic missile. It's this. Now, it sounds boring, it looks bureaucratic, but inside these pages is the end of the City of London's mandate to loot the American economy. Don't let the name fool you. This is the economic equivalent of a declaration of war on the financier elite. It declares that from now on, people and economic growth come first, not financial parasites. And it comes right on the heels of the administration's national security strategy, which declares that sovereign nations come first, not globalist institutions. These were released within a week of each other, and these two documents reassert that American principles will now govern us, not imperial principles. I'm Susan Kokinda. This has been a battle that I've been part of since the 1970s, but I've seen how the British start wars and create narratives to keep you in the dark. It's time for all of this to come into the light, and that's what we're going to do today. But before I get to that, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and help us extend our reach. So here's what we're going to cover today. How London's panic is out in the open, and the Russians know it. What Trump's new economic strategy is, people, not bankers, first. And that phase one of that strategy is the war against the cartels. So Trump's current pressure campaign on Ukraine is forcing Europe, and in particular the British, right out in the open. So open that they're telling their people to prepare for war. Over the past week, Trump has been brutally honest with Zelensky. You're losing, you need to hold elections, and oh, by the way, you're completely corrupt. The Wall Street Journal reported that the Trump team is telling Zelensky, either you negotiate on territory or you get no security guarantees. Now, this also reflects the reality of Trump's new national security strategy that I covered last week. Trump is no longer operating under the transatlantic alliance playbook. As one dispirited European diplomat blurted out at a DC Christmas party, the Western alliance is over. The relationship will never be the same again. So the split is out in the open, and Trump is pushing a negotiated settlement which recognizes Russia's legitimate interests. But the Europeans keep egging Zelensky to continue the war. And the British are the most overt. Look at this general on Sky News. He didn't talk about peace. He warned that the United Kingdom's sons and daughters need to be ready to fight.
Perhaps the most obvious impact on all of us will be the cost of building this resilience. Sons and daughters, colleagues, veterans will all have a part to play, to build, to serve, and if necessary, to fight. And more families will know what sacrifice for our nation means.
And it's not just the military. The new head of MI6, whose grandfather, by the way, was on the side of the Ukrainian Nazis, warned, we are now operating in a space between peace and war. We all continue to face the menace of an aggressive, expansionist, and revisionist Russia seeking to subjugate Ukraine and harass NATO. But Putin should be in no doubt our support is enduring. The pressure we apply on Ukraine's behalf will be sustained.
Powerball and Mega Millions will try to put me in jail for saying this, but I'm going to expose the lottery loophole that...
Who else sees that it is the British who are keeping the war going? Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, and they're saying the quiet part out loud, as this headline shows, that they say that it's the United Kingdom which is undermining Trump's Ukraine peace efforts. And they also report that the United Kingdom has pushed the European Union to seize Russian assets, not just to fund Ukraine, but to kill any US-led settlement. And they also report that it's the United States which was opposed to that. So,
Okay, I don't want to get too deep in it. It's called Britain's Real Fear Isn't Russia. It's this, and it's Promethean action. So, I mean, so you want to know who's the war? It's between the Britons and the Russians, and the Brits are using the Ukraine people to fight. I've never heard of a war like this. Yeah, I don't really want to fight this guy. How about if you fight him for me? It's basically what it's saying. And the British, so I don't know what Trump's doing. I don't know if that's real or not. Looks real that he's cutting off the British, and the British have been holding on to their empire since 1814 is what it looks like, because they had Hong Kong, Singapore, they had India, and they went broke with World War II, having to spend their gold to get weapons. And apparently they're still trying it. And that's why probably you see the pound's worth more than the dollar. So the whole FX thing's just bullshit. But that's what we got. So it looks like the Brits are trying to hold on to the war, and the Russians know it. And that's why they're threatening to nuke the Brits, and the Brits are threatening to nuke Russia. And the whole thing's just insane. The war about nothing. I've never heard of a war where there's no object to it. They just want to fight. They want to hurt Russia. Is the name of this war? It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Here's what's happening in Britain right now.
Air red, smoke curled around.
This is Britain.
The violence in Britain is no longer just unrest. It is only getting worse. Indeed, for the first time since the rioting and looting started over the weekend, chaos has spread outside London to other major British cities. But tonight, the numbers in the capital are unprecedented. 112,000 people in just 23 minutes, 9 police cordons crushed, 4 government vehicles overturned, and at 8:06 p.m., for the first time since the Second World War, thousands of furious citizens reached the iron gates of Parliament. Britain has known unrest before, but never this fast, never this coordinated, and never this deeply rooted in betrayal. The spark was a revelation so outrageous that millions refused to believe it at first. 12 undocumented migrants, each detained for violent or high-risk offences, had been quietly released by the Home Office, released without review, released without parliamentary oversight, and released without informing the police. Within days, those 12 names were linked to 6 knife attacks, 3 sexual assaults, and 2 attempted bombings across London. The public didn't erupt because of ideology. They erupted because the state failed at the most basic promise a government can make, to protect its own citizens. Tonight.
So there's big problems in Britain. They're letting these 12 murderers out to cause you to be afraid. Governments only work if you need them and if you are afraid of them. If you're afraid, oh, I need the government to protect me. That's the whole point of the government. That's what they're trying to do here. Releasing these 12 murderers. What are they, crazy? So people are just, I heard this guy resign, the PM, but I don't know. I'll look more into it today. But this is crazy. What is going on here? You got England riots, you got France riots, you've got Germany, big problems, you've got Italy, big problems. China and Russia are the only normal countries. Saudi Arabia is probably normal. Brussels, there's riots, and it's all because they're going broke. And let's have a war with Russia, which will accomplish nothing. I don't know if they're going after the oil and the gold and the silver, and that's why they're invading Russia. But Russia's a lot stronger than they thought. I don't know. But they're all bankrupt. This is one I'd like you to watch. I'll play this tomorrow. The Death of Thinking, How Society Created the Dumbest Generation. And it's a lot about people who think they know, so they're very confident, and they don't want to hear they're wrong about things. So if we say buy gold, they won't admit it. They go, oh, no, I got stock. I'm going to hold my dollars. And I know I heard Warren Buffett say gold's just an iron weight. And what's the term? A paperweight, and that's all. So I'm not going to buy gold and silver because Warren Buffett said it, without understanding or thinking what it is and how it works and everything else, which is what I try to teach you, is how it works, why we should buy it. Mostly because the dollar is dog do. So anyway, that's what that is. So I watched something. So I was watching this one, Why Idiots Rule. And I like this thought architect. Don't I have this as?
What's the fastest way to go viral today? Silly dances, chasing trends, spamming hashtag.
You just watch someone incompetent get promoted again.
Okay, so what this one is why idiots run companies and government and everything else, because the person in charge doesn't know what he's doing and he's incompetent. So if he hires smart people like me, I'll shine the spotlight on him saying, this guy's an idiot, which I think is what I was doing at Tenneco. And therefore, they don't want to be found out that they're wrong, that they're incompetent. So they hire stupid people. And people then hire stupid people. And everybody's afraid of being found out, so they hire stupid people. And then slowly people retire and they move up the ladder, and then you've got idiots running the company into the ground, which is what's happening now. People like me, now I understand why it's hard for me to get hired, because I'm a critical thinker and I'm going to shine the light on my boss that he's an idiot. And why take a chance if I'm making $100,000 not knowing what I'm doing? Oh, why would I hire somebody who's intelligent, who's going to say, hey, I don't know if I can trust him, if he's going to report me, so I'm going to say, hey, and get out of it. And I think that's basically what's happening. So with that said, I will run this one tomorrow. It's called Why Stupid People Rule the World by Thought Architect. We've seen a few of these. Basically, it just explains people don't know how to critically think anymore. So when we analyze football, if you hear on BetMGM to take Seattle this weekend, you're just listening, you're just absorbing what they said, but you're not actually analyzing or thinking about it. Now, I did have a question, I think, from Prophet or somebody. How do you value, Stidham over Knicks? And the point is, you really can't. Like if you're running formulas to pick games, you can't. You have to understand it and think about it and know it. So the way you would value, you have no value for Stidham, just like you really can't value Drake May either, because he's only played a year, he's never been in a playoff game. So the way you do that is not to do it, is just to get a feel for Stidham. What are they going to do? They're going to run the ball more. They'll punt more. They'll play defense. Maybe he'll throw because he's Sean Payton, but he'll be very careful with the ball. They don't want to do what C.J. Stroud did, which is throw all these interceptions. You can't win a playoff game with doing that anyway, but I think that's what he'll do. So you can't really value Stidham. What are you going to value him? You don't know. He's a decent quarterback, but he hasn't played in a while. And he played at Auburn a couple years, and he was very good, 18-5. I put it in the title of this video. I put Stidham stats underneath or in the description, so you can see that. Otherwise, the free play is LA, Seattle. We are going over in the game 41. The Rams will light them up, as will Seattle against the Ram defense. It should be a high-scoring game. What to play them with, I don't know. I hate to play them with the Rams and 9, so it'll probably be a Denver, New England play if I can figure that out. Anyway, that's what's going on. So let's see. Gold and silver, we're making a move. We're back to 95. I hate when I do it. I bring it on as 95.03, and then it kind of went down to 94.76. So we've got 47.60 gold, and notice how quickly it broke 47 last night. It's already up to 47.60, and then silver 95 basically. So it dropped down to 93, and for what reason, I don't know. How do you measure the value of gold and silver when it moves this drastically? You can't. That's why it shouldn't be based on options. That's why there needs to be a physical price, which we don't have. But we know the physical price is 10 times the paper price because they're using a lot of paper, gold and silver, but that's not physical. So we know the physical is much more limited, therefore the price would be much higher. So we will see. But anyway, that's where we're at. It's 1:36. I am off to the pool. AJ, thank you very much for the tip. I appreciate tips very much. That's the point. I want to make you guys money, and I'm really trying to teach you how to bet everything, and I'm really trying to teach you why you own gold and silver and why you don't profit take it and what's wrong with the dollar. Why is the dollar worthless? See, those are critical thinking questions. That's what I want you to do, is critically think. Why is the dollar going up? Why is gold and silver going up? Because the dollar has been printed to death and is not worth anything. Hence, gold and silver can't be printed to death, and that's why it has value. It is money. Just like a mantle card going up, just like a Rolex, just like my gold chain. It's all related to the value of the dollar dropping because the idiots in charge are printing it who have no clue that they can't do it anymore. So that's the biggest thing. Anyway, like I said, governments need to produce revenue, not by taxing people, but by actually producing something. Otherwise, it's like if we're running an ice cream store and we make enough we can hire 3 people. Well, we can't hire 20 people. We can't afford them. We can only afford 3 people. And that's what you got to know. Anyway, I will leave you with that. www.teaserking.com. Anyway, so we did hit the over yesterday, Miami Indy. And so I went 7-0, and I think I hit 5 or 6 teasers this week, and no losers. So it was beautiful. And that's it. So have a good day, and just relax. Buy as much gold and silver as you can, and that's as gold gets high. You can buy quarter ounces, 1/10 of an ounce, half of an ounce, 1/20th of an ounce of gold. You can buy half of an ounce of silver, just like this. You can buy half-ounce coins. I don't know if they have quarter-ounce silver or not. Before I didn't care because it was $30, and I says, "Well, what do I need a half ounce? It's 15 for the I got $30 for an ounce. It's nothing. Now that it's $95, yeah, I can see getting a half ounce for 47, which is still hard to believe. I bought my friend. She gave me $100 bill, and I got her. I think I got her. I think I got her gold. I think silver might have been 40 at the time, and I got her 2 ounces and a half, and that was 40, 40, and 20. So that was $100 I paid for it. And so now they're worth $100 a piece, and the half's worth 45, let's say, or almost 50. So I turned her $100 into 190, and 40, so like 230. But I would still tell her don't profit take. Like the normal thing is, I made money, I should sell it and take the profit. But the problem is you get back into this. So this game is get out of this. And like I said, if the Titanic's sinking, so you don't want to get off, sell your gold and silver to get back into this. No. You might sell it, to buy a house, to buy a car. But like I say, the housing market's going to crash. Stocks are going to crash. You don't want to do that now. You only want to be in physical metal. Maybe you buy a Rolex. Maybe you buy a Mantle card or a Willie Mays or Tom Brady card or Montana. Maybe you buy some of those, but I would still wait on that because the biggest thing you can do is if I sell this silver at 95, it goes up to 500. I just cost myself $400. So that's the other part that you don't want to do. So this is not anywhere near. It's headed much, much higher. So just understand. So 94.50 and 47.60. So with that, I will leave you. Again, basketball, it's so fixed. It's hard to get into that. I will get into baseball when baseball season arises. So we've got these last 2 games and the Super Bowl, which we will give you. I'll give you the score of the Super Bowl. How about that? And anyway, so we'll figure out this week's games. It's a figuring process that you try to look at common opponents, I think is the best way. And then how do you rate Jared Stidham? You have really nothing to go by. He hasn't played in at least 2 years. So how do I rank him? and it's just something you can't do. You just say probably a little less passing. And you got to realize New England, when they played Buffalo, it was 35-31. So they have a good defense against the Jets and Miami and teams that suck. But against good teams, and you go with the Buffalo and the Baltimore game, they gave up in the 20s and in the 30s. So I think that's the way most defenses are. They all play this stupid shell, the too deep zone. And so the teams can move on them. It's just teams with bad quarterbacks. But I think Stidham will be okay. I think Sean Payton's too smart. So can they win? I'd like to think they can. And again, Drake May on the road. It's not Tom Brady here, right? It's not Drew Brees here. It's Drake May, who hasn't done anything. So how do we rank him? We don't know. So I will leave you with that. See you tomorrow. I apologize for the internet freezing on me and forcing me to come in with part 2. But anyway, www.teaserking.com. Welcome, Ranger, and a few other, all that. You're pretty new, and welcome to class. All right. Have a nice day. www.teaserking.com.